We will now move forward to our next session by Vidwan Rajaraman ji. Thank you, Rajaraman ji, for taking time for this session. He'll be speaking upon the text Dṛg-dṛśya-vivekah. Just a brief introduction. Vidwan Rajaraman ji is a traditional Vidwan and head of the department in the Artificial Intelligence Department of Adi Shankara Institute of Engineering and Technology in Kaladi. He has extensive academic and spiritual accomplishments. He holds a diploma, BE and ME in computer sciences and has completed research in the field of natural language processing from Anna University, Chennai. And in addition to these academic achievements, he has also pursued Adhyatma studies. He has studied Nyaya and Vedanta Shastras under the guidance of Brahmashri Goda Venkateshwara Shastrigal. He has also been doing Upanyasam since he was 18 years old. His spiritual pursuits have also earned him the prestigious Bhagavata Bhaswan Brahmashri Anjam Krishna Nambudiri Memorial Award in 2018 from Sri Ayyappa Bhakta Sabha in Chennai. We are very fortunate to have you, Acharya. Please go ahead and start the session.
Namaskara. Thank you, Nitinji, and to Indica Moksha for giving me this opportunity to do a Smarana of Vidyaranya and his Granthas. And the topic that I have chosen is Dṛg-dṛśya-vivekah. The title that I have given is Discerning the Seer and the Seen, exploring Dṛg-dṛśya-vivekah of Jagadguru Vidyaranya. Let me start. Sachidananda Rupaye Vishwotpatyadi Hetave Thapatre Vinasaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Namaha. Bharati Karunapatram Bharati Padabhushanam Bharati Padamarudam Bharati Tirthamashri Vidya Vinaya Sampannam Vitaragam Vivekinam Vande Vedanta Tattvajnam Vidushekar Bharati. Vidyāranya Kantare Brahmatam Praninam Sada Vidya Margopadeshta Vidyāranya Gurum Shreye. Dṛg-dṛśya-vivekah, Vivekam, which was written by Jagadguru Vidyaranya Mahaswamina, who was the 12th Pīఠāthipati of the Shringeri Sharada Pīఠam, has comprehensively given us the margam of vicharam in a very interesting way. Because as teachers or as modern day teachers, we always rely on a lot of real-time examples and a set of analogies which we can readily relate ourselves to. That is exactly how a teacher would work. And Vidyaranya Swamina, who lived centuries ago, has also been a Margadarshi for all teachers also. That he was able to comprehensively present the entire Vichara Margam with something that we can all relate to, that all of us would have experienced. And there is no need of Hanumanam and all here, because it is Hasta Amalakamiva. When you have a fruit in your palm, what would you require to experience it? It is already there. The same way, the whole Dṛg-dṛśya-vivekah is something, is the path in which Vidyaranya takes us in a way that none of us can exclude ourselves from this vichara. Saying that this short text consists of only 46 slokas, and having given half an hour, now it is exactly 1:16 p.m. Of course, I was given the session 3 minutes ago, but let me consider 1:15. So in this half an hour, I would be presenting this in a very comprehensive way, which means I will present only the gist So in that case, I will not be able to dwell upon the slokas, the direct slokas. So the gist about this is, on the go, this text can be split into 5 portions mainly. So the first portion, which is from slokam 1 to slokam 5, will focus on the three seers, or seemingly 3 seers. We'll elaborate on them. One, the external sense organ, the eye, then the mind, and then the Atman. This is focused on verses 1 to 5. The second portion focuses from which ranges from sloka 6 to sloka 12, is the formation and foundation of the first portion, which means the first 3 seers. And then the third portion happened to be very interesting, which deals with the cause of samsara, or the reason for samsara existing, which ranges from sloka 13 to 21. And then the second last portion ranges from sloka 22 to 31, which gives us a Vedantic meditation, or the Sampradayic term Nididhyasana, following by its benefits. In the last portion again, he summarizes the entire teaching. He summarizes the entire teaching from sloka number 32 to 48. So let us start with the first portion. Rupam Drishyam Lochanam Drik Tadrishyam Driktumanasam Drishya Dhi Vrittayas Sakshi Drigeva Natu Drishyate. From the standpoint of the external world or the outside world, it is the sense organs that is getting in contact with the external world. That is point number 1. So we have to have some foundations here, foundational rules that have to be accepted first. Number 1 is, whatever is seen is different from the seer. This we all accept, and we all know this. The seer and the seen are not the same. So from the standpoint of the world, the sense organs are the ones which are perceiving the world, which means the world is different, the sense organs are different. Then one layer, when you go inside, from the standpoint of the sense organs, the mind is the seer. Now again, the fundamental rule applies here. The sense organs and the mind are different from one another. They are not the same. The third standpoint, the mind, from the standpoint of the mind, the Atman or consciousness by itself is the seer. So there are 3 levels: the world and the sense organs and the mind and the consciousness. So world is seen because of the sense organs. Sense organs are seen or known because of the mind. The mind is experienced because of consciousness. See, it is very clear and very obvious now, but we need Vidyaranya to focus on this and give us this. So, if at all we keep complaining about the happenings of the world, if we keep complaining that this person affects me or this happening is disturbing me, it is only because the consciousness which is illuminating the mind decides to know the world through the sense organs. So, if the sense organs can be directed in a proper direction, it can perceive only whatever is required from the entire world, and in turn, the sense organs are illuminated by the mind. The mind can decide to see whatever it wanted to see, and in turn, when we could focus on consciousness itself, or if the mind can dwell about its source by itself, Avrta chakshuhu amrtatvamichanne. The Kathopanishad Uttangila, as told in Kathopanishad, when that view from the external world turned towards ourselves, then only from there this Adhyatmika Yatra will start. So the relative seen and seer are the Drishyam that is which is given in the title of the text. The absolute seer is called a Dṛg. The relative seer seen, which is the mind or the sense organs, are relative in nature. So they are called Drishyam, and absolute seen is called the Dṛg. So Dṛg-dṛśya iti. Dṛg-dṛśya-vivekah. So we are trying to discriminate between which is the Dṛg and which is the Drishyam iti. So this is what is addressed to start with in the first portion, and he starts off with an atom bomb, actually. So only if we could focus on this, only if we could dwell upon this by itself, it's an atom bomb. See, all of our texts will normally start with a very big thought process for us to dwell upon. Just like the Gita starting with Asochan Anvachotastvam Sloka, or just like Bhagavatam starting with Satyam Param Dhimahi. The same way, this starts with this idea where you keep discriminating between the seer and the seen. And the ultimate seer is the Dṛg, is called the Dṛg in the text. This is what is referred to in the Bhagavata, where the Gopikas sing. In the Gopika Geetam, they are referring to Bhagavan Krishna as Dṛg. Nakalu Gopika Nandano Bhavan Akila Dehinam Antaratma Dṛg. Antaratma Dṛg. Generally, Gopikas are referred from a bhakti standpoint, but here, in a very casual note, in one of the stanzas of their song, they refer to the Atman as the absolute seer. This was in the first portion. In the second portion, he dwells upon the three in depth. He only gives the idea in the first, and right from the second, see, how are these formed and what are their functions? How are these relative seers formed and what are their functions? So how is the absolute seer formed? The absolute seer, which is the Dṛg or the Atman, is never ever formed. Na jayate mriyate va kadachite. This sloka has to be remembered. It is never ever formed. So then that is why it is always existing. It is Sat. Sat, and relating to it is Satsangam. Or dwelling upon that is Satsangam by itself. It is never ever formed. And what is the absolute function of this? The only function of that is to illumine whatever that comes in contact with it, and that has got the quality to be illumined. See, we have the sun, we have the moon. The moon is getting illumined. Is it the quality of the sun to illumine the moon? The sun is trying to illumine everything, but it is the quality of the moon which is getting illumined. It is the guna of the Chandraha. So what am I trying to tell is, this illumination quality of the Atman is not a sankalpa of Atma. It is the capability of the mind that would get illumined, so it is illumining. So I am going to illumine the mind. This sankalpa will not come in the Atman. If so, there would be kartrutvam to Atman also. No, it is its nature that illumines. It is the nature of mind to be illumined by Atman. So during this process of illumining the mind, the Atman does not undergo any sort of change, or it does not engage in any sort of kartrutvam, but only by its presence it does it. Okay, and then coming to mind. Mind is a relative seer. So how is the mind formed? So as we have already told, the mind is not an illuminator by itself. It gets the consciousness borrowed from the absolute Atman. So with the borrowed consciousness, it becomes a seer, and it is only a dependent seer, which is not independent in nature. So what is the mind does? The mind has got the special quality of getting illumined by the Atman, and also able to illumine or make the sense organs also illumined. So this in turn becomes the illuminator by undergoing change in the form of uh, uh, all the spuranam that happens in the mind. So it is, when you compare this with the Atman, say for the time being, the Atman illumines the mind, and the Atman by itself is changeless. But the mind, it gets illuminated and also illumines the sense organs, but a mind is subject to change. How do you know that? Only by experience. Sir, I was not able to understand that. I was not able to relate to that. I was not able to comprehend it. Now I'm able to do. I was not able to relate myself to that. Now I'm able to do. I was not able to understand. Now I'm able. We see the mind is subject to change. Okay. Now coming to the third part, the sense organs are the outermost. The sense organs, again, it is not self-existing. It is again getting consciousness or borrowed consciousness from the mind, and the mind which is again illumined by the Atman. So with the borrowed consciousness, it becomes a seer, and hence is also dependent seer, not independent as in the Atman. See, a nice channel how Vidyaranya takes us. And then he discusses what are the functions of the sense organs. Should it be told? It illumines the entire world. It is the illuminator of the entire world, and again it is undergoing change. An eye which was functioning proper ceases to function. A nose that was proper ceases to function proper. Ears ceases. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, Dukkha, Dosha, and Darshana. As told in the Gita, all these are subject to change. So it is a changing illuminator, or that which undergoes a lot of change during the process of illuminating the entire world. So dwelling upon the second part of Dṛg-dṛśya-vivekah. Third portion is, what is the cause of samsara? Now, point 1 and 2 discusses about the three sense organs, mind and Atman. Sense organ and mind are changing. The Atman is not changing. The Atman illumines the mind. The mind in turn illumines the sense organs. Through the sense organs, the mind is seeing the entire world. Now coming to the next part, what do you mean by samsara? What is the cause of samsara? How do you define samsara? Samsara meaning jiva mrityu cycle, punarapi maranam, punarapi jananam, punarapi janani jhatare sayanam ityadi. It is a relative Seer-Seeing sense organ mind through which I have something called ahankara, which means the mind which has been illumined by Atman thinks to itself that it is permanent and it is self-existing. This temporary existence or independence that the mind believes that it has got has to be interpreted as ahankara. Okay, so ahankara is the karta, bhokta, who is also called the samsari. He engages in action, and the moment he starts to engage in action, there will be karma, sanchita karma, prarabdha karma, agami karma, and there's this sanchita karma and prarabdha can be punya karma or papa karma, or as told in Vasudeva Mananam or other texts, it can be mishra karma. When you are adhikari of punya karma, you will be born as a deva. When you do papa karma, you will be born as say plants or other jiva kotis. Or if you have mixture of both, you will be born as human beings, and everything starts. So ahankara is never ever free from problem. This has to be written on a stone and kept. We can never ever attain sort of peace by willing to live in this world. It can never ever attain eternal peace or eternal shanti. It will always be in war. Okay. Everybody, let it even be the avatara purushas. When you see, their life is not in a straight line, but it has a lot of ups and downs. They will also miss someone. they'll also hate someone. They might also have to hate someone because they'll have a reason for that. Of course, the reason is there. But ultimately, there will be Kartrutva, Bhoktrutvam. Maybe the Avatara Purushas or direct avatars of Bhagavan may not happen to enjoy the karma. But when you look at their life, it is not in perfect equilibrium, at least from our perspective. It is all from our perspective, right? So that Sakshi, which is always pervading, which is always there, which is illuminating both of this, alone is Akarta, Abhokta, Nitya Asamsari. Parantu, the mind, when it decides to mingle with the sense organs, and through the sense organs, it decides to mingle with the external world, due to which there is ahankara, it is never ever akarta or abhokta or nitya samsari. Instead, it is the karta bhokta. So this can be, this knowledge, if we have, slowly what will happen? We will keep this vichara in mind and slowly start parting ourselves from the sense organs and the mind and start focusing on our real self. This is what Vidyaranya Swami is indirectly insisting us to do. Okay, so this is so. Let us say, even from a samadhi perspective, even if one person attains a nirvikalpa samadhi, savikalpa samadhi, he'll experience it only during the type of samadhi. But the moment is out of samadhi, he has to engage in the external world, and everything has the slippers that we removed outside the when we enter a temple, and we freely roam. The slippers are always waiting outside. The same way, the moment you exit samadhi sthiti, you will have to come down and enter into the world of ichcha, dvesha, ityadi. Okay, so this is it. And now, continuing with the third portion. So when we say me or aham, what does it then mean? The Atman, or the complex form of mind and the body, it refers to both. It refers to both. It's mishraha eva. Then why do we suffer samsara? It is because we have not separated our ahankara from the antaratman or the sakshi intellectually. So what are you meaning when you say I? Do you mean the body? Do you mean the organs? Do you mean the mind? It means you are a samsari. But the moment you attach yourself with the chit or the atman or the self, which is independent of all, then you have intellectually cut off the entire world or the entire external world. It is not as easy as a present here. We all know it. That is what we are all here, and that is why that is what we are all trying to go to. So this is we are only trying to explain the entire margam with the help of Vidyaranya, that's all. So we are struggling as an ahankara in an environment which is also unsustainable in nature. So the ahankaram cannot ever exit samsara without attaining Atma Jnana, even if it tries to do for koti janma. It will never be possible because it is in the grasp of Maya. Maya, what does it have? It has got the Vikshepa Shakti and the Avarana Shakti. Avarana Shakti is covering something. Vikshepa something is projecting something that which it is not. For example, my guru used to give a beautiful example. Not knowing the rope is not the main problem. Knowing that as the snake is the actual problem. There is something there, I don't know. If the problem is this, then I can focus on what it is. But when there is avaranam, when I'm not knowing what is there, suddenly I get an idea there's a snake there. So this Vikshepa Shakti and Avarana Shakti working at the very same moment, and that which is caused by Maya. How is Maya defined? Gunamayi mama maya duradhyaya iti mamayeva ye prapatyante ityadi. In Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan gives an example. So because of avaranam, I am ignorant. Due to vikshepa, I am able to identify something that which it is not. So the external world is a mixture of all this. So now, having defined the problem, I should also tell you what is the remedy. The remedy can be known only if the problem is properly defined. So the problem is ignorance. If that is the case, then the remedy is knowledge and knowledge alone. Knowledge along with a prescribed lifestyle what will make you attain moksha and nothing else. So here in the end of third portion, from slokas 13 to 21, Vidyaranya conveys that I need to identify myself with the Sakshe Chaitanyam, which is the Atman, not with the others. So what is Ahankara then? Ahankara is a lower part of me. It is also a mixture of me, but it is a lower part of me, which I should not refer to. Just like in the seventh, sixth Dhyana Yogam and followed by Dhyana Yogam in seventh Adhyaya, Bhagavan tells Para, Apara Prakriti. Para Prakriti, if you wanted to focus on the Para Prakriti of Bhagavan, then fine. But if you wanted to focus on the Apara Prakriti of Bhagavan, then you will have to indulge in his Srishti, in Maya and everything. So this focus, this change in focus from the external world to the internal is what is being represented in the third portion. And followed by that, the fourth portion, which ranges from sloka 22 to 31, he prescribes us ways of coming out. What is it? A few sadhanas are prescribed. What is that? You focus on the thoughts and dwell on the question, from where are these thoughts originating? As told in the Kathopanishad, Pratibodha Viditam Madham. One of the best ever mantras for a sadhaka is Pratibodha Viditam Madham. Pratibodha Viditam. Every thought that arises in me is a proof that I am existing. You can decide whether to indulge in that thought or not. If you indulge in that thought, attach yourself to that thought, then you will become a samsari. What is that thought? It can be about anything. It can be about purchasing a new car. It can be about going somewhere. It can be about watching a movie. Any thought that comes. What does that particular thought prove to yourself? Oh, this thought is there. It means I am there as a witness to this. Do not indulge with that thought. If you indulge, it is your own problem. It is not Ishvara's problem. But why is that thought there? It is to prove to yourself that you are existing. So, Pratibodha Viditam Matam. Every thought is a proof or an upaya for you to turn your thought process into the origin of thoughts. Number one. Number two, you always keep focusing on the nature of Brahman, which is Asangam, Kandam, Anantam, Nitya, Shuddha, Buddha, Mukta Swabhavaha. This is a template Vakya that Madhavacharya repeatedly use. And you also have to dwell on the Shastric words or the Upanishadic statements that focuses on this. And the third is, you will have to, as far as possible, channelize your indriyas, restrict them from engaging in the external world too much, and try focusing on the Atman, as I quoted at the first, Avrita Chakshuhu Amritattvam Ichanne Kachidhiraha Pratyagatmanam Ekshanne. Kathopanishad has told you change your focus from the external world to the internal. And then focus on the presence or focus on the astitvam. How can astitvam be translated? Isness. The word is or astitvam. I'll give you one example. If I wanted to show you big, how will I show you big? Or you ask me, sir, please show me what is big, what is small. Then can I show you this is big and this is small? No. I need to have an object that is big, or I need to have an object that is small. The same way, when I have to prove the astitvam of Atman, then I need the world. So the world is existing. Oh, existence is there, right? That quality of the world to exist, that quality is alone Atman's. Rest is the world's. Then what is there? So anything that exists, the quality of existence of any object is borrowed from Atman. This has to be focused on. And then also continuing to focus on the existence. How does the Atman exist? It is ekaha, ekatvam. It is not a subject matter for any of the indriyas. Asangatvam, anantatvam. So what I do henceforth, I ignore every other object and dwell only on the existence nature of that object. So once you do this, what will be the phala? If you keep doing it, Jivan Mukti Athava Videha Mukti is the phala. The fourth. And in the fifth portion, he summarizes the entire teaching again and also adds few points here and there, but this is mainly the summary, sloka 32 to 48. First is sense organs and the mind obtaining in dream, which is Swapna Ahankara or Pratibhasika Ahankara. These are pure Advaitic or philosophical technical terms which I do not have time to dwell upon. Pratibhasikam, or which is getting reflected. This first is. Second is the sense organs and the mind, which is in the waking state or Jagrata Ahankara or Vyavaharankara. Swapnavastha, in the Swapna state is Swapna Ahankara or Pratibhasika. Or in the waking state is Jagrata Ahankara or Vyavaharika Jiva. Beyond these two, there is Sakshi or the Paramarthika Jiva, which continues to exist in all the three avasthas. So these are all only temporary, but the world getting seen by the sense organs and getting experienced by the mind. These are getting into contact just like a bubble and a wave coming into contact, which are only drishyam. But the underlying concept, substratum, or in this analogy, water, is what is the Dṛg. So do not identify yourself with the Pratibhasika or Vyavaharika Jivas. Pratibhasika Jivasya laye syuhu Vyavaharike tallaye Satchidanandaha Pariyasyanti Sakshini. Iti. So do not identify yourself with the Pratibhasika Jiva. Instead, identify yourself only with the Paramarthika Jivaha, which is again, the moment you realize it, just like the Upanishad claims, what a beautiful state it is. Then you actually do not need anyone even to come and tell this. But the moment you identify it, that experience alone, which is again, should not be interpreted as a Laukika experience. I'm using a word because I have to use a word. So do not extend the same definition of a Laukika experience. Then we'll understand Adhyatmika Anubhavam also as an experience. We do not classify that as an experience because anything that you experience we'll have to leave that. So that Anubhavam or that Surupam of yourself, you will feel bliss, which is nothing but, as told in one of the Mahavakyas in the Yajurvedas, Aham Brahmasmi Ityuchyate. It is exactly 1:45. I took half an hour time. So I think I was able to do justice. Again, I do Sashtanga prostrations under the feet of Jagadguru Vidyaranya, my Guru Jagadguru Bharati Tirth Mahaswamina, Jagadguru Vidyayagara Bharati Mahaswamina. And I once again thank Indica Moksha to remember me, to give me this opportunity to dwell upon a few moments on Vidyaranya, so that I can make this talk to all the sadhakas. Thank you. Dhanyosmi.
Thank you very much, Rajaramanji. It was a very wonderful, very insightful presentation on a very difficult topic, I would say. So it was a very comprehensive presentation. Thank you very much for taking time with us.